The Indiana Fever took care of business versus the Portland Fire. Portland Fire, they fought hard to get back into this game, but the Indiana Fever was just too much. Caitlyn Clark with a 26-point triple-double. Yes, that's right. A 26-point triple-double, guys. And also another milestone hit. Are you surprised? You can never be surprised when it comes to Caitlyn Clark.
They spent months building the perfect trap. Rival coaches locked themselves in film rooms for hours, drew up defensive schemes specifically designed for one person, sacrificed their own offensive identity, burned through practice time, and dedicated entire game plans to stopping a single rookie from taking over professional basketball. They were absolutely convinced they had figured her out. They were convinced the hype was fragile, that the pressure would eventually crack her, and that the Wnba stage would finally expose what they believed was just a media creation. Tonight, every single one of them got humiliated on national television. Caitlyn Clark did not just win a basketball game tonight. She walked into Portland, looked every doubter dead in the eye, and delivered a 26-point triple-double so historically dominant that the entire league is now in full panic mode. Indiana Fever are riding a 5-game winning streak. The opposing coaches are staring at stat sheets in complete disbelief, and Sophie Cunningham just did something after the final buzzer that has the entire basketball world losing its mind right now. You think you know how this night ended? You have absolutely no idea. Stay right here because this breakdown is going to leave you speechless. Before we get into this breakdown, I need to know something. Drop a number in the comments right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dangerous is this Indiana Fever squad becoming? Because after tonight, I genuinely think the rest of the league is scared. Let me see your numbers below.
2 steals, a block, and a partridge in a pear tree. Damn. Got to be more careful. Shout out Ben Daniel for the D-Zam. For my use of, I copyrighted the damn on that. Sophie Cunningham, 13 points, 4 of 6, 3 of 5 from three-point range. She continues to burn them down from 3. 3 assists, 2 steals. Kelsey Mitchell, 26, 9 for 21. She started out slow. 4 of 12 from three-point range. Yikes. 2 assists. Let me give a special shout out because her bag is getting deeper and it's getting better offensively. Michaela Timpson, folks. 15.7 of 8 from the field. 3 rebounds, 2 steals. I got to give it up. Michaela Timpson, I hope she continues to get more playing time. Raven John.
There's a phrase that gets thrown around in basketball circles whenever someone is playing at a level that simply should not be possible. People call it being in a different zip code from everyone else on the floor. It means you are operating on a frequency that the opposition cannot tune into, no matter how hard they try, no matter how much film they watch, no matter how many adjustments they make at halftime. Caitlyn Clark has officially moved beyond that zip code. She has moved to a completely different planet. 26 points, a triple-double on the road, against a defense that had one singular mission coming into this game, and that mission was stopping number 22 from doing exactly what she did tonight. Think about that for a second. Portland's entire defensive identity, their rotations, their communication, their switching principles, everything was constructed around the idea of containing Clark. And she responded by putting together one of the most complete individual performances this league has seen from a player at her stage of development. What makes this even more jaw-dropping is the manner in which she did it. This was not a hot shooting night where everything was dropping and the basketball gods were simply being generous. This was a surgical, calculated, ruthless dissection of a professional defense. She was reading the game 3 seconds ahead of everyone else on the floor. Her court vision was operating at a level that honestly looked unfair. Full-court bounce passes delivered with pinpoint precision. No-look dimes into the paint that left Portland's help defenders completely frozen. Cross-court lasers that found open shooters before the opposing guards even recognized the play developing. And then, when the defense collapsed trying to take away her passing lanes, she simply stepped back to distances that make no logical sense and buried them from deep. Logo range, parking lot range, distances that most professional players would not even consider pulling up from in practice, let alone in a road game with the defense bearing down. The stat line alone tells you everything, but it does not even capture the full scope of what happened tonight. 2 steals, a block, double-digit assists, double-digit points. All delivered with the kind of calm, ice-cold composure that veterans spend entire careers trying to develop. She is not adjusting to this league anymore. This league is adjusting to her, and they are failing badly.
Now, from what was reported before the game, no flags were allowed in this game. Yet somehow, some way, certain flags made their way in. What a shocker. I'm surprised. Nah, not really. Not really. Sophie Cunningham checks in, gets booed, and then right after getting booed, she goes out and she does this.
Loses the handle right to Sophie Cunningham, who knocks in the 3 and then lets the crowd hear about it.
The Fever are so dangerous. Spot to make that one, and another sweet spot. Sophie Cunningham from 3. You gotta be all
Cold-blooded Sophie Cunningham. And then she gets to the free throw line, gets booed again. Sinks the free throw, but then comes back and does this.
And Cunningham picks it off.
To the sound of boos as she's finishing. Keeps it going. Third quarter, comes in and does this.
Here is what makes tonight's performance so much more significant than just another impressive stat line. This was not Clark catching a defense off guard or benefiting from a team that was not prepared. Portland came into this game armed and ready. Their coaching staff had done the homework. They had watched the film, identified the tendencies, mapped out the weaknesses, and constructed what they genuinely believed was an airtight defensive system, designed specifically to neutralize the most dangerous offensive weapon in the league right now. They tried the full court press from the opening tip. The idea was simple enough on paper. Pressure her early, force her to use energy just getting the ball up the floor, disrupt her rhythm before the half-court sets even developed. The result? Clark picked the press apart with crisp decision-making and quick ball movement that made Portland look like they were moving through quicksand. Then they tried the half-court trap, doubling her the moment she crossed midcourt, forcing her left, taking away her dominant hand, crowding her space. She responded by finding the open man faster than the trap could close, turning their defensive gamble into easy buckets on the other end. When the traps were not working, Portland switched to a physical, hands-on approach. The idea was to make her uncomfortable, to let her know that every catch was going to come with a body, every drive was going to come with contact. Coaches around the league have quietly admitted in interviews that physicality is supposedly the way to throw Clark off her game. Portland believed it too. What they got instead was a player who used that physical pressure to draw fouls, get to the free throw line, and keep the scoreboard moving in Indiana's favor. By the third quarter, you could visibly see the Portland coaching staff running out of answers. The substitution patterns became desperate. The timeout usage became reactive rather than strategic. The sideline body language told the whole story. These were coaches who had arrived with a plan and were watching it disintegrate possession by possession, unable to find a single adjustment that even slowed her down. The most dangerous player in basketball right now is not just skilled. She is adaptable. She processes defensive adjustments in real time and counters them before the opposing bench even realizes the old scheme is dead. That is genuinely terrifying for the rest of this league.
Caitlyn Clark did what she had to do. We're going to get into all the other parts of the game, but we got to get into the Clark show first, man. Look at it, snatch back. Baghdad, bang. And she was talking stuff that, look how deep she is, God. Look at how deep Caitlyn Clark is on these shots. Baghdad. And she was talking that stuff. Caitlyn Clark did whatever she wanted to do, get into the lane at will. The refs finally called some fouls. Finally, Caitlyn Clark does whatever she wants to do. Sophie, the blonde bomber, knocking down the 3. The Indiana Fever were on it tonight. They were on it, man. Indiana Fever did exactly what they needed to do. The Portland Fire, they fought back, but just too much Caitlyn Clark. Just too much Caitlyn Clark. This girl, she's unstoppable. Getting to the rim, crossing you over. That should have been an and one. That should have been a 4-point play. The refs are absolute trash for not calling that. That should have been a 4-point play. Period. Point blank, period. That's a 4-point play, man. The refs is garbage. Pure garbage. Caitlyn Clark, backdoor pass to Kelsey.
One of the narratives that Clark's critics have clung to since she entered the league is the idea that her success is heavily dependent on the system around her, that strip away the spotlight, and the supporting pieces are not capable of performing at a high level independently. Tonight was the most convincing rebuttal to that argument that the Indiana Fever have delivered all season, because while Clark was orchestrating the offensive masterpiece, the players around her were absolutely delivering. Start with Sophie Cunningham. 13 points on the night, shooting 4 of 6 from the field, and an absolutely lethal 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. Those are not just good numbers. Those are the numbers of a player who has completely locked in on her role and is executing it with a confidence that borderlines on dangerous. Cunningham is not a volume scorer. She is a precision weapon, and when she is dialed in from 3-point range the way she was tonight, she becomes nearly impossible for a defense to game plan around, especially when they are already dedicating so many resources to stopping Clark. Then there is Kelsey Mitchell, who finished with 26 points on the night. Now, Mitchell's efficiency was not perfect. She shot 9 of 21 from the field and struggled from 3-point range, going 4 of 12 from deep. But 26 points is 26 points, and the fact that she continued to attack aggressively despite a slow start says everything about her mentality and her willingness to trust the process of a long game. And then there is Michaela Timpson, and if you are not talking about her development right now, you are genuinely sleeping. 15 points on 7 of 8 shooting from the field. Read that again. 7 of 8, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. That level of efficiency is remarkable for any player at any stage of their career, and for a player who is still developing her offensive repertoire, it represents a genuinely exciting leap forward. Every time she steps on the floor, her bag looks a little deeper, her confidence looks a little higher, and her impact looks a little more significant. This is what a complete team performance looks like. Clark is the engine, absolutely, but the Fever are not a one-woman show anymore. They are building into something that looks increasingly difficult to stop, and that should terrify the entire league. There is a specific kind of player that every championship-level team needs. Not the superstar, not the primary scorer, the enforcer. The one who sets the tone emotionally, who matches energy with the opposition, who refuses to let their teammates get bullied, who thrives specifically when the environment is hostile and the crowd is against them. Indiana Fever found theirs, and her name is Sophie Cunningham. Portland fans came into this game ready for a fight. They were loud from the opening tip, organized in their hostility, and they had specifically identified Cunningham as a target. The boos started the moment she checked into the game. Not polite, competitive boos. Aggressive, sustained, hostile boos from a crowd that had clearly done their homework and decided she was the one they wanted to rattle. It was the kind of reception that breaks weaker players, sends them retreating into safe decisions, tentative shot selections, and defensive body language. Cunningham's response was immediate and completely cold-blooded. First possession after checking in, she catches the ball, squares up, and buries a 3-pointer right in the face of the Portland defense. And then, before the ball even finished going through the net, she turned directly to the crowd that had just been booing her and let them know exactly what was happening. Not subtly, not with a quiet nod or a restrained celebration. Loudly, expressively, and with the energy of someone who specifically sought out the confrontation and won it. It happened again at the free throw line, booed by an entire arena while standing at the stripe. Sank both free throws, turned back to the crowd. The third quarter brought more of the same. Cunningham picking off a pass and finishing through contact while the boos rained down, completely unfazed, completely locked in, completely in control of her own emotional state while the building around her was in chaos. By the final quarter, the arena's energy had been completely drained, not by the scoreboard alone, but by the psychological warfare that Cunningham had been conducting all night. She did not just beat Portland on the scoreboard, she broke their spirit. She made their home floor feel like Indiana's territory, and she did it one made shot, one turn to the crowd celebration at a time. Some players perform despite hostile environments. Sophie Cunningham performs because of them. Numbers tell stories that words sometimes cannot. And the numbers that Caitlyn Clark is currently producing are telling a story so extraordinary that the basketball world is running out of adequate language to describe it properly. Because this is not just about one good game or one impressive performance in a nationally televised moment. This is about a sustained, relentless, historically unprecedented run of production that is forcing everyone who watches this sport to completely reconsider what is possible for a player in their first years at the professional level. Let us talk about the milestone that dropped tonight and try to fully appreciate what it actually means. Caitlyn Clark became the fastest player in league history to reach 1,500 career points and 500 assists, achieving that mark in just 78 games. The previous record holder was Sabrina Ionescu, who reached that milestone in 97 games. Think about the significance of that gap: 19 fewer games. Nearly an entire quarter of a season ahead of the previous record. And Sabrina Ionescu is one of the most talented and decorated players to come through this league in the past decade. And over the last 5 games specifically, the numbers have entered a realm that feels genuinely absurd. 29.4 points per game, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal and a half per game, a block per game, and perhaps most outrageously, 48.7% from three-point range over that stretch, nearly 50% from 3, over 5 games, while being the primary target of every defensive scheme the opposition can construct. So when a graphic circulated on social media around the time of this game that highlighted MVP candidates and somehow managed to omit Caitlyn Clark's name, the reaction from fans and analysts was completely justified. Because the idea that any conversation about the league's most valuable player can be conducted without her name appearing at the top of the list right now is not just incorrect. It is genuinely indefensible given the statistical evidence. The record books are being rewritten in real time. The milestones are falling faster than the league can process them. And the player achieving all of this is a rookie who is supposedly going to need time to adjust to the professional game. The adjustment period is over. The takeover is fully in progress. The final buzzer sounded. The scoreboard told the story in cold, hard numbers. Portland's players were walking off the floor with the quiet, heavy steps of a team that had given everything and come up drastically short. Their fans were filtering toward the exits, some in silence, some in visible frustration, all of them wearing the expression of people who had experienced a genuinely demoralizing evening in their own building. And in the middle of all of that, Sophie Cunningham was not done yet. As the post-game handshakes were finishing and teammates were beginning to make their way toward the visitors' tunnel, Cunningham spotted something in the crowd that stopped her. A young Indiana Fever fan, wearing a CC22 jersey, sitting in a sea of Portland supporters. This kid had been repping Indiana all night long in the absolute worst possible environment for it. Surrounded by opposing fans, subjected to the same hostile energy that had been directed at the Fever all game, this young fan had stayed loyal and loud throughout the entire night. Cunningham walked directly over, and then she did something that nobody in that building was expecting. She took off her game-worn shoes right there on the court, handed them directly to the young fan, and made that kid's entire year in one single gesture. The mother's reaction said everything. Tears. Immediate, overwhelming, completely genuine tears from a parent watching their child receive an act of kindness so unexpected and so generous that it took a moment to even fully process what had just happened. Cunningham did not stop there. She took a picture with the family, took a selfie with them, gave the moment everything it deserved before finally heading to the locker room. Now, on one level, that is a genuinely beautiful, human moment in a sport that sometimes gets so consumed by competition and controversy that the pure joy of it gets lost. And it absolutely is that. But let us also be completely real about the other layer of what just happened. Sophie Cunningham walked into Portland's home arena, destroyed their team on the scoreboard, silenced their crowd shot by shot, and then casually distributed souvenirs to Fever fans on their home floor before walking out. That is not just kindness. That is kindness delivered with the quiet confidence of someone who owns the room. And that is exactly why this Indiana Fever squad is becoming impossible to stop. So let us bring this all the way back to where tonight started. A rookie that people said could not handle the pressure. A supporting cast that critics called insufficient. A team that the broader basketball conversation was not taking seriously enough. All of that got answered tonight in Portland with a performance that will be talked about for a very long time. 26 points, a triple-double, 5 consecutive wins, all-time records falling. A historical milestone that rewrote the record books. A two-way enforcer who owned an entire hostel arena and then gave away her shoes to a kid in the front row just to put the perfect bow on the night. The Indiana Fever are not a storyline anymore. They are a legitimate force, and the rest of this league is going to have to start treating them like one. Here is the question I want you sitting with tonight. We are watching history happen in real time, right in front of us. How long before the rest of the basketball world fully catches up to what Clark and this Fever squad are actually building? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this breakdown hit different tonight, you already know what to do. Clark Spotlight. We will see you in the next one.